There has been another apparent alleged suicide in the circle of Epstein and all of that. We're talking, of course, about Jean-Luc Brunel. You might have seen over the weekend, a 75-year-old who was found hanging overnight in his cell in a prison in southern Paris, according to a French official. Now, I had not actually been familiar of this person's involvement in the story, but you can see here a picture. You might be familiar seeing them before. He's a former boss of a French modeling agency who had been arrested back in December of 2020 before taking a flight to Africa. So he has been charged with raping minors over 15 and sexual harassment. He was placed in pretrial detention immediately after that arrest in December of 2020. He was also under investigation for human trafficking of minors for sexual exploitation as part of a broader French inquiry into potential offenses committed in connection to the Epstein scandal. Now, after he was found dead, apparently by suicide, his legal team put out a statement saying his distress was that of a man of 75 years old caught up in a media legal system that we should be questioning. Jean-Luc Brunel never stopped claiming his innocence and had made many efforts to prove it. His decision to end his life was not driven by guilt, but by a deep sense of injustice. I don't understand what the reference to his age there. It's like he was just a young kid caught up in, he's 75. He was a full grown man, fully responsible for everything he did. Anyway, what do you make of it, Francesca? It's like, considering what ended up happening to Epstein himself, the fact that he hung himself in his cell is not ideal in terms of the news cycle.
I have nothing to say about that. It is sus as hell, and here's what I hate. I hate that everything related to Epstein, I did pour water all over my face. I hate that everything related to Epstein, now that he's dead, supposedly only weirdos on the right are supposed to cover. I'm sorry, there was wall-to-wall coverage when Epstein was alive and the stories were breaking out of the Miami Herald, doing an amazing job. The journalists were on every single night. And then as soon as he winds up dead, it's like, oh, I'm sorry, we just boop-a-doo, we're not gonna talk about it anymore. It's like, excuse me. Now I feel crazy. Now I feel extra crazy. So yeah, when something like this happens, you bet your ass I'm curious about it. I want to know what happened. I saw the, his documentaries about Epstein. I think it's the Netflix documentary. It's disgusting. And Virginia Giuffre continues her march for justice. She was again trafficked by Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. Super in her corner, and I'm very sad that so many mainstream outlets have failed to cover this. One of the biggest stories of human trafficking, of sexual exploitation, and of the elite and 1% doing whatever the hell they want and then getting off by mysteriously appearing dead. But I've said nothing. Yeah. Do not come to my house.
Well, you've said nothing, and in response, I will say less. In fact, I'll retract words that I've already said. Look, so here's the thing. The fact that he is alleged to have killed himself, and via this particular technique that obviously Jeffrey Epstein is alleged to have used, is going to be incredibly suspicious. To devil's advocate, I guess. If you were to want to kill yourself in a cell, this is presumably the way that you would do it. So it isn't automatically impossible to conceive that a person would do this. The weird way that the legal team tries to frame it as, he didn't do this out of guilt, but by a deep sense of injustice. I don't understand, what is that like? Why would that be the reason to do? And then to do it in this particular way that links you even more directly to Epstein, that would be a weird way to demonstrate your innocence to the world.
Yeah.
Anyway, we don't have any answers in this area. We only have speculation. That's all that we're left with. But what we do have is we want to make sure that you know what he is alleged to have done, that he felt this deep sense of injustice for. At least one of Mr. Epstein's accusers have said that Mr. Brunel used his position as a modeling scout to procure minors for Mr. Epstein, who owned an apartment in an upscale Parisian neighborhood and traveled regularly to France. So this is Virginia Jeffrey, who has the allegations against a number of these individuals. She said that Mr. Brunel would offer modeling jobs to girls, some as young as 12, and take them to the United States to farm them out to his friends, especially Epstein. Now, the necessary corollary to that is that that is not just Epstein then. That is Epstein and other people, presumably. How many? She said Epstein himself said that he slept with more than 1,000 of Brunel's girls, who again were as young as the age of 12. Now, maybe somehow this is just a guy who got caught up in stuff and he has nothing to do with it. But that's a lot. In addition, a former Dutch model accuses him of drugging and raping her back in 1991. I mean, maybe these are just guys who are being unfairly targeted, but maybe definitely not. Anyway, any other thoughts?
Are we sure he's dead?
I don't.
What if it's a body double?
What
if it's a body double, you know?
What if it was the vaccine? Was he boosted recently? Put me on Fox News.
That's a waste of a vaccine, 3 of them.
Yeah, by the way, quick reminder of some of the other news in this area, because Francesca was saying we need to make sure that people know about what's going on. This week, Prince Andrew, second son of Queen Elizabeth II, settled a lawsuit brought by, let's see, I am being told that it's Jeffrey.
Yeah, Virginia
I apologize
Jeffrey.
for the mispronunciation there. Who accused the British royal of raping her when she was a teenager. Also, just a couple of months ago, Ghislaine Maxwell, who, please, Sophie, tell me how I mispronounced that. Mr. Epstein's former companion was convicted of conspiring with him to recruit, groom, and sexually abuse underage girls. But the important thing coming out of all of this is that all of the bad people were caught, and thus justice was done. How many people, like whether you think that the suicides happened or not, how many powerful rich people watch that and just think, thank God for that.
Or paid for it. I said nothing. What? I mean, Trump, Clinton, Gates. Apparently Kevin Spacey was on some of those. Eesh.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people. What's up?
I think Don Jr. tweeted like about this story, like, oh yeah, look at them still trying to cover stuff up. Dude, your dad was like the best, like if you want to make a case about Bill Clinton, go right ahead. But whatever evidence you have that Bill Clinton was connected to Epstein, you have that plus way more evidence about Trump. And if you were watching this and think, well, shouldn't we be suspicious of both? Yes, we should be suspicious of both, but definitely at least both. Don Jr., your dad's in the photos. I don't know, is this guy in photos with Epstein? Is this guy as close as your dad was?
There's literally a photo of Trump and Epstein like sizing a woman up and clearly saying horrible things about her body. Like that is on film.
Ugh. Anyway, that is just what we're saying. And we're saying this on Twitch and on YouTube, which are not truthful social networks. What if there was a social network focused on truth? For more political news breakdowns, interviews, stories of activism, and me trying my hardest to care about the occasional big celebrity news story, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/The Damage Report. And you can ring the bell wherever it is so you don't miss anything.